Hey guys, it's David, and today we're going to be unboxing and reviewing the Best Buy exclusive 4K Steelbook edition of No Time to Die, as well as doing a mini review of the film. Let's get to it.
If we don't do this, there will be nothing left to save.
No Time to Die has to be probably my favorite Daniel Craig Bond film, next to Skyfall. Both of those movies, here and here for me, top tier. Also, just like top tier filmmaking. This movie is visually stunning. The soundtrack, the visuals, especially in the opening, the beginning, the opening sequence of the film in Italy. I don't know the exact location, but it is absolutely stunning. Everything from the score to the music to the landscapes, and when we see Bond and Madeline driving in the Aston Martin down the cliffside, and it's amazing, absolutely stunning. Fun fact: this film actually has the record for the longest pre-title sequence out of any James Bond film, and the previous record was actually held by my personal favorite Bond film, The World Is Not Enough. That's a movie I should review in here as well. So we start the film, and it's Bond and Madeline in Italy. Again, as I said before, gorgeous. Everything about this opening is amazing. I think this movie is going to be known for two things: the opening pre-title sequence and something else we're going to get to later, because there is going to be spoilers in this review. So here's your spoiler warning. If you haven't seen No Time to Die, stop this video, go watch it. It's absolutely amazing. Come back, here we'll discuss it. It's going to be great. They're in Italy, and we learned something about Bond that we never really learned before, which was kind of hinted at in Skyfall and in Spectre, but it's that Bond never got over Vesper Lynd, and it kind of makes sense character-wise. In this film, he's very much about moving on and wanting a life of his own, and then kind of being pulled back into the thick of things. So the film starts with him going to her grave, and letting bygones be bygones, finally letting it in the past. And then sure enough, bam, Spectre's in the middle of it. They blow up her literal grave, which I thought was like, okay. Yeah, from this point on, we know, okay, like, here's the tone of this movie. This movie's not going to pull any punches. Again, this whole opening to this film, absolutely amazing. The action sequences, you guys, the car chase through Italy is, it's so good. Again, we saw it in the trailer. It's that really cool scene where him and Madeline are in the Aston Martin. He pulls out the Gatling guns and he's shooting all the goons and everything. And it's so good, you guys. So at that point, us, the audience, and Bond are actually led to believe that Madeline has betrayed him. And, she was like, hey, you know what? You got to go let whatever's going on with Vesper, you got to let it lie. Here's your letter. Oh, yeah. In the beginning of the film, when they're going to the hotel, they ask I believe it's the bellhop. They're like, hey, everybody's burning all these letters. Like, what is this? And he's like, hey, so it's basically, if you have a secret and you want to let it go, you write it down on this piece of paper, we burn it, and you let it be, kind of thing. So Madeline said to him, hey, you know what? Like, I'm writing down my secret that I want to let go. You should write down your secret. It's probably about Vesper, which it is. And she's like, you go burn it. Her grave is here. I wanted you to do this. Basically, Bond's thinking, okay, Madeline wanted me at her grave. It exploded. She's trying to kill me. Which totally understandable, because at this point, Bond, doesn't really trust anyone, even, the women that he's with, and rightfully so, because at this point, he's been betrayed, he's been cut down, he's been through the ringer many times. So he's very jaded, and when he finds this out about Madeline, you can definitely tell that, like, he wanted it to be different with her, and you can see the pain in his eyes. And I think that scene, also the acting in this film, absolutely phenomenal. And I think one of the most important scenes acting wise, which I think for me as an actor, just watching me, like, oh, this is amazing. The scene in the car chase when they're surrounded by all the goons. This is just before that scene in the trailer where he pulls out the Gatling guns in the DB5, and They're sitting there, they're all surrounded. He's kind of just like, do I let them kill us, or do I escape? And the one hitman, I don't remember his name, but he's got the bionic eye. I think they call him the Cyclops, or James refers to him as the Cyclops, which I think is pretty funny. And he's shooting at the window, and Madeline's in the line of sight, and the bullets keep hitting the glass. And I think this whole time, Bond knows how long the glass is going to hold, so he's kind of letting Madeline feel it a little bit, because at this point, as I said, the audience and Bond think that she's betrayed him. So he's done. He's just like, he's just done with life, done with love, just like he's over it, okay? He's letting her feel it, and the bullets keep hitting, and the glass, you can see, is breaking more and more and more with every bullet that hits it. And Madeline just kind of looks at him, and she's just crying, and she's like, I don't know. Like, this isn't me. I don't know what's going on. And Bond just kind of looks at her, and he's just kind of like, okay, then you know what? I'm going to get you out of this. And then we're going to be done. And that's exactly what he does. It cuts to that iconic scene in the trailer, pulls out the Gatling guns, shoots all the goons, they drive away, and then he literally drops her off at the train station. And that leads into our song by Billie Eilish, No Time to Die. I personally love this song. I think it's a very different take for her. I personally am not the biggest Billie Eilish fan, but I thought that her take on a Bond song was actually very in line with previous Bond title sequence songs. It was very, it was a love ballad, which I think very much suited this film tonally, and it kind of set the tone for what was going to come later. It kind of hinted at foreshadowing with some things in the lyrics as well. Beginning of the film, explosive. It's awesome. I absolutely love it. Now for my favorite characters in the film. As you can probably see, my two favorite characters are already with me, so you can probably see who I'm going to be talking about next. But Daniel Craig as James Bond absolutely kills it. I'm so sad that this is his last one. He is hands down my favorite Bond, next to Pierce Brosnan. Again, tied neck and neck for those two for me. He was killing it in this role, and I don't know his exact age, but he's starting to show a little bit, and he is kicking ass in this film, and he takes a lot of punches. Like, he is put through the ringer in this movie, and I thought he absolutely killed it. I hope he earns some kind of an award for this movie, because man, like, Daniel Craig, James Bond, he's killing it. I'm so sad that this is his last one, as I said, and if you've seen the film, you know why. I'm sure for those of you who haven't, or if you can kind of guess, you probably know what's coming. Ana de Armas as Paloma, I thought she was absolutely hilarious in this movie, but in the best way. She basically took the archetype of the Bond girl, or the Bond woman, who's supposed to be this sexy, character, and flips it on its head, where she already is all those things. She's tough, she's kick-ass, she's sexy, but she's also hilarious and awkward and, a little green, so to speak. She's like, yeah, I've only had 3 weeks training, which is actually true. A little fun behind the scenes fact, Ana de Armas only had 3 weeks training for her gun and fight sequences. So if you take that in mind, and you kind of see her sequences in the film, she did absolutely amazing. She killed it. And considering that her role was going to be even shorter, I don't know what they would have done with her, but I loved her. She was my favorite Bond girl. I thought the chemistry between her and Daniel Craig were absolutely amazing. They actually previously worked on another film called Knives Out, and that's actually how she got this job, which their chemistry is amazing. I'd love to see them in more movies together. I hope, both of them come back for another Knives Out movie. Like, that would just be awesome. Yeah, I know. I love these two together. I even loved their little scene at the end, where they kind of finish their mission, and she's like, oh, like, here's my stop, like, here's where I leave you. And he's just like, you know what, you did awesome, you were amazing. And she's like, yeah, thank you. And she's like, next time stay longer, which I agree, James Bond, next time stay longer, because, like, oh, this is the end of an era, you guys. And I think this film is very much a fitting end for the Craig era. Léa Seydoux is Madeleine Swann. I personally love Léa Seydoux. I think she's a phenomenal actress. I think she kills it in everything she does. Do I like her as Madeleine Swann? Not really. But I do think that's also part of because she was introduced in what is quite arguably the most boring Bond film ever. Spectre was not a big hit. I personally didn't like it. I think I actually fell asleep in the theater, not gonna lie. Quick side stories. Fun fact, the only thing I enjoyed about Spectre was when we went to the movie theater, there were these three elderly women in front of us, and me and my friends, and it turns out they had been to every single Bond premiere since Dr. No. So to me, I just always remember, like, the one fond memory I have of Spectre is, you know, these women being like, yeah, like, we enjoyed this movie. And also that movie, like, the projector cut halfway through the film, and it was the chase scene between Bond and Dave Bautista's character, and the screen just cut, and I'm like, oh my god, like, this was a great movie. And I made all three of them laugh, which I thought was like cool. I made their day. I kind of helped them have a little laugh when they go see a Bond film, and the film cuts out for them. So that's my fond memories of Spectre. However, I get Madeline Swan now in this movie. Wasn't a fan of her in Spectre. I understand her now in No Time to Die. Again, here's where the spoilers come in. The reveal of her and Bond having a kid, I think was a great evolution for a character. Definitely unexpected. I did not see that coming, especially for what comes later. Yeah, no, I actually thoroughly enjoyed him and Madeline's relationship. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just the director, the writing, what Leah was able to do this time around with her character. I get why Bond, you know, wanted to spend the rest of his life with her. And, you know, I definitely was for it this time around. Not so much the first time. Definitely for it the second time. But yeah, again, phenomenal acting from Leah. The scene again in the car where she's like crying and pleading with him, being like, I don't know what's going on. And you know, you can really tell that, like, in that moment, you know, we're like, okay, like, maybe she really didn't betray him. Maybe she genuinely doesn't know what's going on. And, you know, this is scary for her too. And then a really fun Easter egg, which someone pointed out in a review that I watched, the moment where Bond leaves her on the train, where she's like, I have something to tell you. Bond thinks it's, you know, that she's betrayed him, and, you know, has some other dark secrets, because her father was one of the heads of Spectre, of like, what other skeletons do you have in your closet, kind of thing, right? And as the door's about to close, we as the audience don't know it yet, but when it's revealed that she has a kid, in that moment she clutches her stomach, so it's like, oh, she's pregnant, and she's trying to tell him that, which I thought, again, such a cool little Easter egg. If you watch the film again and you pick up on the little nuances and stuff like that, foreshadowing things later, you're like, oh, that's genius. That's so smart. Rami Malik as Lucifer Saffin. I love Rami Malik. He's a phenomenal actor. Rami Malik does great as a villain. However, he's kind of forgettable. And I think that's due in part to the script, because he's barely in the film. The film opens with him and Madeline. Oh yeah, this is the first time that we get a Bond film that opens without Bond, and it's Madeline growing up and the whole backstory between her and Lucifer Saffin. It's definitely interesting to me because he's just kind of this scorned. In the story, it's later revealed that he's kind of this scorned kid. Mr. White ended up killing his whole family. Now he's back for revenge, kind of thing. Which I do think, in hindsight, is kind of interesting. You know, like, in all these superhero movies and spy movies and action thrillers, you know, you hear these people that are basically collateral damage. And what happens if one of them's scorned by you and comes back for revenge? But it's definitely the situation of, like, a child's coming back for revenge for what, and understandably so, his family was wrong. However, they did kill people. They were known as, like, the Poisoners in Spectre, and they had this whole island that we go to later in the movie. So it's very much like, it's very much a gray area, because of course you're basically the son of a psychopath, and kind of what goes into that. They kind of go into that a little bit in the film, because later he goes to see Madeline Swan, and she's a psychiatrist, and he's kind of talking about, you know, what happens to a child, like when they lose a parent and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I was honestly shocked when he didn't physically, like, Bond didn't kill him at the end of the movie. He basically, like, immobilized him so he couldn't leave when all these missiles are coming to this island. Oh yeah, that's the plot. That's the kind of the MacGuffin of this movie, is that Bond's fighting nanobots. And people were kind of upset with that. I personally didn't have an issue, because at this point in the franchise, this is Bond's 25th film. What else is he going to go up against? Like, you know, as they say, there's nothing new under the sun. So for me, the nanobot thing, yeah, it's very video gamey. It's very Saturday morning cartoon, but it's Bond. You're here to watch an action movie. Going back to The World Is Not Enough, the actress in that, one of the actresses in that film, Sophie Marceau, I think put it absolutely perfectly. You know, Bond is a fantasy in the real world. So yes, it's very much stuff that could happen day to day, but it's still a fantasy film in a way. You know, it's still heightened reality. So to me, the whole nanobot thing, totally fine with it. I did think it was very interesting, you know, and could potentially be a real world issue of, you know what, here was this device, here was this bioweapon that was created for minimal collateral damage so that you could hit one target and not kill anybody else. But of course, something like that so advanced could easily be manipulated and turn into something bad, which of course it does, and is done so many times in the film. Like back in Cuba with Bond and Paloma, and they go to the Spectre party. You realize that the nanobots are meant to kill James, but Lucifer's scientist switches the DNA to kill all the Spectre agents. That was one of the kind of only problems I had with this movie, was I thought the Spectre storyline was kind of sloppily tied up and kind of rushed. They were like, you know what, let's get this done. Let's literally put them all on a birthday party, which is literally what happened. It was Blofeld's birthday party in Cuba. And yeah, the Lucifer's scientist changes the DNA of the nanobots. So the nanobots attack the DNA of whoever the intended target is. So you can manually input, be like, hey, kill this person. No, actually kill this person, which is what they do. So they change the DNA, they change the sequencing to kill all the Spectre agents instead. And in one fell swoop, they all die. They get this like really gross, like, disease thing on their face, and their skin gets all bubbly and like, ugh, it was gross. It was very gross. Yeah, they're all killed in one fell swoop, and then later on we find out that Madeline never actually betrayed Bond, and it was Blofeld the entire time. And this prompts Bond in so much of a rage, because at this point he's left Madeline. He's like, you know what, you betrayed me, screw you. I'll be nice and gentlemanly and leave you at the bus at the train station, but we're done. And then 5 years passed, so he basically lost 5 years of his life of what he could have had in a relationship with Madeline. And that's actually what ends up being Blofeld's downfall, because Blofeld doesn't know that the DNA has been changed. So when he gets James into such a rage, starts choking him, and then he's like, oh, I didn't do anything, I just choked him, and then he's dead. And they're like, oh, the nanobots were on him, which I believe was Lucifer giving it to Madeline, which was in her perfume, and she put it on her hand, and I think James accidentally brushed her somehow, and that's how the nanobots got onto Blofeld. Ended up screwing him over in the end. Honestly, didn't really care. Again, Blofeld kind of shoehorned into this movie. The whole Spectre storyline, sloppily shoehorned. They were like, you know what, we gotta tie it up. Daniel Craig's not coming back, which again we'll get to later. Lashauna Lynch's Nomi, I thought, was another great addition to the cast. She's some new blood. She's actually the new 007. Which we learned from the trailer. Yeah, I thought she was a lot of fun. She had that fun little, you know, scene in the club in Jamaica with Bond, and she kind of like switches it up. He figures it out fairly quickly who she is, and so basically her and him are competing halfway through the film to find this scientist that's revealed to be working for Lucifer Saffin, but they think he's just, you know, he's being captured by these terrorists, and they're trying to get to him. Yeah, I thought she was great. She had some fun little lines with Bond, and I thought it was honestly really honorable and really respectful that, you know, before the last mission of the film, she goes to M and she's like, you know what, before in the movie, she kind of doesn't really have respect for Bond. She kind of sees him as an old dog kind of thing, you know, like, this is the new world, like, you're kind of your last year's model kind of thing. And by the beginning of the last mission, you know, they have a mutual respect for each other. They're starting to work together, and she's like, hey, M, like, I'd like to give my designation back to Bond so that he can be 007, which was very fitting, and I thought very respectful that the script did that, because I think they kind of knew the audience would be upset if somebody else was 007 and Bond is in the same film. Kind of doesn't make sense. So I thought it was very touching and very nice that she was able to do that for Bond. Yeah, I love they worked as a great team in the last mission, you know, going through the submarine pens and the lab and everything at the end of the film. So yeah, as I mentioned, they go back to Lucifer's island where his family created all these poisons, and that's where they created the nanobots holding everything. And of course, we get to the big reveal of the film, which is that Bond dies. I was shocked. I was honestly so shocked because I'm like, this is the main character, not just of a film, of a franchise. For over 25 films, over 50 years of filmmaking has gone into this one character, and now he's done. And I thought the way they did it, I don't want to say sloppy, but it was very much like really, like you couldn't really think of anything else, you know? So it's revealed that in his fight with Lucifer, after he saves Madeline and their daughter Matilda, and I kind of figured out before that she was his daughter because her and him had the same eyes, and I looked at him and I looked at her and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's his kid, because like the age lined up, and I was like 5 years old. He's gone from 5 years. I'm pretty sure that's his kid. And they actually call back to it later, right before he dies, and, you know, Madeline says to him, you know, she has your eyes, and he says, I know. And I'm just like, oh, I'm like getting choked up about it, because I'm just like, oh, I love this movie, and I love these characters so much. But, oh yeah, I just thought that was so good. And so yeah, he has his final battle with Lucifer. He kills all the goons. He's basically, it's down to him and Lucifer. And he's basically, he breaks Lucifer's arm, I believe, so like he ain't going nowhere. And Lucifer has a vial of Madeline and Matilda's blood, and he stabs James with it with nanobots. So basically, if he's ever going to get close to them, they're going to die. So Bond elects to stay behind, and all these missiles are headed towards the island to destroy the nanobots, because if that got out, it would mean the end of the world, basically. They go out, and then Bond has says goodbye to Madeline one last time, and I was there in shock, and I'm watching it, and I'm sad, and I'm just like, this is heartbreaking. You're watching, you know, one of your favorite action heroes go out, basically. And this is a first for Bond. Bond has never died in the source material or the lore before. I'm very curious to see what they do going forward. Do they reboot the franchise? Do they, you know, continue as 007 kind of being like a title, which again, not really a fan of. I would much rather they get a new actor to play Bond. I personally would love Henry Cavill to play Bond. I think it would be perfect. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what they do going forward. What did you guys think of the film? What did you guys think of No Time to Die? What do you guys think of the ending? What do you think they're going to do going forward? I'm very curious to see what they do. So we're probably not going to get another Bond film for at least probably 3 or 4 years. They gotta figure out what they're doing over there. So this review also has a little mini unboxing of the Best Buy Steelbook 4K edition of No Time to Die. Let's get into it. And here we have our Best Buy exclusive 4K Steelbook of No Time to Die. I personally love the cover on this. It's a lot different than the base cover for the Blu-rays and the DVDs. For this release, I thought those were honestly kind of lackluster, so I personally love the Aston Martin. Again, it's the scene from the opening. I personally love it. I love the color of the title as well. It just pops really well, the blue off the silver of the car and the white and black of the background. I just think it's absolutely awesome. On the back, you just have the continued logo of 007. Along the spine, you also have No Time to Die, again in the blue. Pops amazing, looks really great. Go inside, you have your 4K Blu-ray as well as your Blu-ray disc of No Time to Die. If you open that, it's just black. This one, again, no print, which kind of sucks. It's just the title, but it is what it is. And inside, you have a picture of Nomi and Bond in the island base of the final battle, which I think is nice. It serves its purpose. Nothing too crazy for this release, but I think it serves its purpose. I think it's a lot better than the base edition of the film, and that is No Time to Die on 4K Blu-ray. Thank you guys so much for watching my review of No Time to Die, as well as the 4K Blu-ray unboxing of said film. Yeah, I'd love to do more videos like this for you guys. If you guys want to see more, hit that like button, hit subscribe as well as click the bell notifications so you're notified every time I drop a video. It helps me out a lot. It allows me to do more videos for you guys. I enjoy doing these. Again, thank you so much for watching. Bye.